This is an island surrounded by water, big water, ocean water. Trust me, I'm like a smart person.
I'm very consistent. I'm a very stable genius.
I had the best words. Tolerated. I know words.
Mike Pounds.
I hope they now go and take a look at the oranges of the investigation. But there's no better word than stupid.
Anonymous, really anonymous.
I'm very highly educated. One of the wettest we've ever seen from the standpoint of water. I had the best words.
God bless the United States.
Now witness the firepower of this fully armed and operational battle station.
They say, that's amazing. How did you do that?
You idiot!
Around the nation, Waldorf Nation. What's up, everybody? It's Tuesday. Welcome to the show. We got a fun one today. We've got a lot of different stuff that we want to talk about, including, of course, mental competency tests. A very ironic story on that. We have also a discussion about Marjorie Greene's divorce. No, not that one. The national divorce. Oh, interesting. Very interesting indeed. We will talk about that. We've got Bernie Sanders, once again, being a meme. In the best way possible. That's a fun story. You're going to enjoy that. And then, of course, he's also has, taken on the drug companies. So that's great as well. We have Republicans in Idaho doing insane things, trying to ban vaccines. It's craziness. Ron DeSantis gets teachers fired for showing the truth about what's going on. All this different stuff. So we got a great show lined up for you today. Please like and share the stream. Very important that you do so. With that, why don't we dive in? All right. We will start out with our very stable genius.
And then they say, there's Donald Trump, an intellectual. Trust me, I'm like a smart person.
That's right. That's Donald Trump. When he was president, calling himself a very smart person, and apparently he is now behind mental competency tests. Yes, that's right. In fact, writing on his Truth social platform,
Truth Central.
he said this: anybody running for the office of President of the United States should agree to take a full and complete mental competency test simultaneously or before the announcement that he or she is running. Wait. Simultaneously or before, I guess. Announcement. So, are you saying that you're taking the test while you're doing the announcement? That doesn't make sense. But okay. Hey, you know what? These are very stable genius ideas. Okay, so let's just hear him out. Apparently, he's very smart. Smarter than I am, apparently. All right. He added, being an outstanding president requires great mental acuity and physical stamina. Right. Now, this post, of course, came after Nikki Haley, the only Republican to declare a challenge against Trump for the presidency, said that politicians, and this is part of her platform of no old people. Literally, that's the only thing that she happens to be running on. She can't actually go out and say that there's any sort of differences policy-wise between her and Trump because, well, there is none. There is none. And so she came out with this idea saying that politicians 75 or older should be required to take a mental competency test. So, look, we know what that's about. That's a shot at both Trump and Biden. Trump's 76, Biden is 80. And look, I'm not sure if he realizes this. I just don't know. Okay, does he know this? Does he know that this is a shot at him, or is he taking advantage of it and saying, "Oh yeah, you want a mental competency test? Well, I can guarantee you, I would pass it. Flying colors, aced it." Either way, it's pretty ironic. In fact, speaking of the test that he had aced, we'll get into that. Here he is bragging about it.
Your 35 questions. The first questions are very easy. The last questions are much more difficult. Like a memory question, it's like you'll go person, woman, man, camera, TV. So they say, could you repeat that? So I said, yeah. They said, nobody gets it in order. It's actually not that easy, but for me it was easy. And that's not an easy question. They say, that's amazing. How did you do that? I do it because I have like a good memory, because I'm cognitively there.
I'm sorry. Oh my goodness. That test that he was bragging about is a dementia test to make sure that your brain actually functions. Look, the Washington Post reported back at the time that Trump was given the Montreal Cognitive Assessment, also known as the MoCA. Oh no, the MoCA. Wait.
They want to make you drink Starbucks every day from now until forever.
Forever, the MoCA. Okay, no, this has nothing to do with that. But anyway, it's administered when a patient starts to experience memory loss and other forms of cognitive decline. So I think that's pretty important. The fact that he had taken this test, and that people suggested that he had taken this test, and comes out and says, it was the best. I did the greatest. I scored very, very high in not having Alzheimer's or dementia. Okay, yeah, sure.
Wind.
Okay. Now, look, the website also says the test is used to diagnose, among other things, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, ALS, and schizophrenia. But he was bragging about it as if he said it was smart, like if it made him very, very smart, like passing this test.
The brand new F-35s, fighter jets, they're stealth. You can't see them.
You can't see them. You can't see them. Very stable genius, guys. The most stable genius. Very, very smart. Tremendously smart. Now, look, real quick on the point of having great physical stamina. As a obese person myself, right? I would just say that I don't think Donald Trump has the most amount of stamina, and that's actually fine. Look, by the way, FDR was in a wheelchair because of polio, right? He's a pretty great president. Again, there are negative things and there's a lot of positive things. For example, he brought us the New Deal. So, and look, Donald Trump himself was president, and he bravely led this nation with bone spurs in both of his feet, by the way. Bravery. But look, overall, the whole campaign by Nikki Haley, of course, is ageist, and that's because she actually doesn't even have a platform on which to run on. What reason is there for Republicans to actually vote for her over Donald Trump, who is, again, running? And so what's the point other than saying, you're old, You're old. Vote for somebody who's going to do the exact same things but isn't old. All right. Well, it is just funny though to see the height of irony of having Trump agree with the cognitive assessment tests. Hilarious. Oh man. All right. Let's move on to Marjorie Taylor Greene. Let's see. Go to the divorce, national divorce. Divorce expert Marjorie Taylor Greene is calling for a different kind of split, between red and blue states. So now on Monday, she tweeted something that kind of gotten her in a little bit of trouble, saying, "We need a national divorce. We need to separate by red states and blue states and shrink the federal government. Everyone I talk to says this." Oh, everyone you talk to. Well, that's because you surround yourself with insane people who are, insurrectionists and not actual patriots. Because I got news for you: if you want to separate the country, if you want to leave the country, that's and I don't mean just like go apply for citizenship somewhere else. No, to actually try to break the country apart. Opposite of a patriot. But anyway, she says this: from the sick and disgusting woke culture issues shoved down our throats to the traitorous America Last policies, we're done.
The wokers.
Of course. The wokers. It's always the woke. It's the woke. That's the problem. Define woke. What is a woke policy? Give us an example of a woke policy. You can't. You can't. But look, it's a bit ironic that Marjorie Greene is talking about treason, somebody being a traitor. After all, she is literally calling for the end of the United States as a United States Congresswoman. That's what a so-called national divorce would be. Now, after being called out on social media and being accused of pushing a Civil War narrative, she had responded. But first, I'm going to give you some of those criticisms, starting with Marianne Williamson, who asked, should she just call for a civil war? Does she know what happened the last time a few states said they wanted to leave? That's a good question. Then again, maybe Marjorie Greene doesn't know her history. Can't exactly see her picking up a book and reading it. Molly John Fast said, really scary right-wing talking point being shopped by a really scary right-wing member of Congress. True. And of course, Jank, with a great tweet, Jank Uger, said, last time you Confederate traitors did this, it cost America 600,000 lives. Also, before you start promoting treason, you should look up what state you live in. Georgia voted for Biden and 2 Democratic senators. In other words, you live in a blue state, dumbass. That's a good tweet. That's a good tweet. All right, so now she went on to explain, however, or to clarify that, no, I don't want a civil war. No. This is my vision for a national divorce. And in a Twitter thread, she writes, why the left and right should consider a national divorce. Not a civil war, but a legal agreement to separate our ideological and political disagreements by states while maintaining our legal union. Now, look, I'm going to tell you what she's actually advocating for. And actually, look, let me just note that we had tried this before, and I'll get to those facts later. But first, she said, the reasoning, I think we, the left and the right, have reached irreconcilable differences. Oh, look, I know her marriage fell apart, and I'm not here to judge because it happens, but please don't project that into the rest of the country. Please. Let's not. But basically, her idea is get rid of the federal government. She thinks that her so-called national divorce would eliminate the federal government and said, A national divorce would require a much smaller federal government with more power given to the states. Hence, we would solve our debt and spending problems immediately. Would it, though? Would it? Come on. By the way, does she not realize that red states are the biggest recipients of federal spending? Look, money that comes from blue states usually tends to be redistributed to red states. According to Joe Gonzalez, an analyst from Wallet Hub, she said that states with high taxes and GDP have a lower dependency on the federal government, while states with low taxes and GDP depend more on federal aid. So basically, you look at the states that have low taxes, generally tend to be right-wing states, because they get rid of their local, their state taxes, and especially for rich people and corporations, and they require more federal money to make up the shortfall. That's what happens. So now, the majority of the 5 states with the lowest GDP are South Carolina, Alabama, West Virginia, Arkansas, and Mississippi. They're among the most federally dependent states on the list. Oops. So now, if you eliminated the federal government, you would eliminate that source of money, that source of income. Guess what happens? The states fall apart. I mean, literally, because there will be no infrastructure projects, because they don't have taxes to rebuild their roads and bridges. That's not to say that, the federal government's doing a fantastic job of that lately anyway, but at the same time, what little money there is passed in infrastructure, again, it's got to get passed through Congress, which is for the Republicans, who tend to take any opportunity they can to block spending, unless, by the way, it goes to their own state. That is seems to be the exception. But like I said, get rid of the federal government, and what little money that they do get for infrastructure spending, it's not going to come from them, because they would have to raise taxes. And they refuse to raise taxes, and they're rich. But some of the other stuff that she had talked about, by the way, is sort of her wet dream, essentially. And that's, of course, oppressing trans people. Changing education and making it so that basically you don't get an education anymore. You get Christian fundamentalism in your schools. And of course, stripping abortion rights and transgender rights, LGBTQ plus rights, all of it. Because of course, added to that, she said that states would throw out all environmental social governance regulations and requirements on corporations and businesses. So basically, what would happen is you would have less regulation and more derailments, like the one in East Palestine, Ohio. So now imagine being the average person in these new Marjorie green states of America. It would be horrible. It would be quite awful. Unless, of course, you're incredibly wealthy. Then you'd be okay. So now what this all reminds me of is the Articles of Confederation. The thing that existed before the Constitution, before the United States of America. So it was where the 13 colonies had a very loosely federated states, and they would come together with a very weak central government. And so, look, the reason that we don't have that system today, because that's where we started, is, it was a mess. This is a mess. There were, all the states were on the brink of economic disaster. The federal government had no power or little power to settle disagreements between the states over things like territory, war, pensions, taxes, trade, all that stuff. And so the founders realized that, if we're going to save this country, we're going to have to go and do something else. We're going to actually have to have a stronger federal government. And that's what happened. And so that's why we have the Constitution. By the way, something in the Constitution also says that you're not supposed to advocate for treason or Civil War or anything like that. That's another thing that's in the Constitution. But like history books, Marjorie Greene hasn't read the Constitution. Doesn't really know it very well. Because if she did, she wouldn't be out here saying these stupid and ridiculous things. Nobody would have anything except for rich white folk. Well, that's the whole point. That is the whole point. It's exactly what they want. Okay. Let's move on to some fun. We got some Bernie Sanders stories. You're going to love it. Senator Bernie Sanders ended up accidentally walking into a TikTok video and didn't look too happy about it. And gone. All right. So look, the TikTok user Taylor Champ had posted this video, and she had no idea that Bernie Sanders was even there, as he had, excused himself from that area after seeing what was going on. And I'm going to show you her reaction to finding out that Bernie Sanders had been in the video. She posted this as a follow-up. Take a look.
Hi, Bernie Sanders. I want to apologize. And I saw the doorman actually had a TikTok where he was tagging the place. I was like, oh, dope. Like, maybe I'll just make one with him. I'm about to check out. The very moment I walk outside, I set it up. This whole trip, nothing happens. The one moment I step out of my comfort zone and I get in the way of Bernie Sanders' walking space. I apologize. It'll never happen again. Your system was very nice. And honestly, in this video, I didn't even notice. I didn't know till after we were recording that he was walking in the background of it.
Oh, I love it. By the way, I love this, and I also, that's why I love Bernie Sanders, by the way. That would be my exact reaction. Just, step around, out of frame. Gone. I love it. And by the way, of course she liked it too. I went and read the comments on the videos that she had posted, and they were just wonderful. It's good stuff. In fact, I'm going to read some. One person says, "This is aggressively Bernie Sanders." I love the idea of it being aggressively Bernie. Another person says, "We've seen Larry David do Bernie Sanders. That's Bernie Sanders doing Larry David." Very, very true. Another person says, "Yo, he's not mad. He just says RBF. Resting Bernie face." Fair enough. Another person adds, "This is the most Bernie Sanders thing. I love it. This man just always happens to be in those moments." One person also adds, "Truly, he is one of us." To which Taylor Champ had replied, quote, "Whether he likes it or not, one of us. Love it. And finally, another, and again, there's so many comments. This went incredibly viral on Twitter. I think you got like 3 million views. TikTok, million views at least. Giuseppe says, "The man, the mittens, the legend." Hell yeah. Look, the kids get it. When I was looking at this story, I'm seeing all these different, takes like Fox News, Mediaite and The Hill, varying degrees of like grumpy Bernie Sanders, annoyed Bernie Sanders. And it's like, no, he was just trying to get out of the way. And by the way, didn't interrupt the video. So that was actually super nice of him. Look, the kids love him because he's trying to get everybody health care. That's it. He's the only politician that will randomly, somehow appear in a video just out of nowhere, and then walk around to not mess up your video and then not make a big deal of it. Look, I remember back during, I think it was either the 2020 or 2016 campaign where Bernie Sanders somehow ended up saving somebody from like a car accident. That's amazing. Oh, also protecting Andrea Mitchell during like a press stampede. So just so many different amazing stories of Bernie Sanders just popping up and doing something either funny, amazing, or incredibly meme-worthy. And so, of course, as a result, this spawns a bunch of hilarious and fun memes. So there you are. Love it. Moving on. We got another Bernie story. This one's a little bit more serious.
Charging us outrageously, uncontrollably high prices. We have got to deal with that. As chairman of the relevant committee, I intend to do what I can.
Moderna says it's instituting a patient assistance plan to give the COVID shot to the uninsured and underinsured Americans free of cost. Is that sufficient?
And you know, Margaret,
for you?
Amazing coincidence. That happened the same exact day as we announced that we were inviting them to testify.
Do you think your political heat made that difference?
Well, maybe it was just a wild and crazy coincidence. I don't know.
That was Senator Bernie Sanders bringing out the snark. This was on Sunday while addressing Moderna's plan to give the uninsured COVID-19 free COVID-19 vaccines. Oh, how nice of them. This was on CBS's Face the Nation. Now, of course, they didn't always have the plan to give out these vaccines. Now, last Wednesday, the pharmaceutical giant announced that citizens would be able to access the vaccines regardless of the ability to pay. Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Now, what happened to lead up to that was Sanders asking them to testify in front of his committee about why they're going to charge $110 to $130 per dose of the vaccine. Not just, that's per dose. That's insanity. Insanity. Now, look, they already are still charging the insurance companies. Of course, we pay for insurance through premiums, but at least it will be free for uninsured Americans. So that said, the CEO didn't want to deal with Bernie Sanders, and it's probably because he drops bombs like this.
Taxpayers, the NIH co-authored, worked together to create the vaccine.
Right.
Taxpayers put billions of dollars into the development of the vaccine, guaranteed sales for the vaccine.
As they did with many other companies,
Yeah,
too.
all right. And then what happens after the government stockpile of the vaccine expires? These guys say, well, we're going to quadruple the price of the vaccine. And by the way, in the last 2 years, the CEO made $5 billion, and his other guys made billions of dollars. Is that really what should be happening?
No, it is not what should be happening. But that is, and he goes on to say that the pharmaceutical companies, their business model is based on greed. And that's 100%. And so, look, of course, Moderna, the CEO, does not want to be grilled about how his company is greedy. It's billions and billions of dollars this industry makes. And a lot of it, again, is from publicly funding these, research efforts. And then what happens is that they get these pharmaceutical companies. They'll get these patents, and they'll sit on these patents for sometimes decades, if not more. So as long as they can, to prevent the fact that or to prevent others from making generic versions of these drugs, which, by the way, again, were publicly funded in a lot of cases, and they just sit back and jack up the price and profit. And that's what happens. And so, look, our current healthcare system, it's obvious that it's a scam. It's exactly what it is. Again, you have these pharmaceutical companies, you have these insurance companies, you have these hospitals, that have this insane system where they all get rich, and we get stuck holding the bag, whether it's through our taxes, or having to pay out of pocket for things like copays and deductibles, things that don't really exist in other countries. So yeah, okay, in some other countries still have copays, but you ask somebody in Europe, depending on the country where they're from, what's your deductible? And they'll be like, deductible? What are you talking about? Well, what's a deductible? And then you explain it to them, and they're like, wait a minute. So wait, you have insurance and you pay for that every month, but then in order to use your insurance, you have to pay the full price of all the things, whether it be, getting medications, doctor visits, etc., out of pocket. And then once you hit a certain amount, and you look at some of the plans, $5,000, $7,000, $9,000 deductibles for some of these healthcare plans. You got to pay that before insurance will even pay it done. You ask somebody in another country, they'll tell you that that's an insane system. And by the way, if that person happens to be from France, they would be like, why are you not in the streets? I don't know what that accent was. Why are you not in the streets? Why are you not holding pitchforks and torches? How could you allow this system? But unfortunately, we have allowed and accepted this system. And so unfortunately, we don't have enough people like Bernie Sanders in Congress that are actually willing to fight the pharmaceutical industry and the health insurance industry. And so we're stuck with the most, it is a system that it's predatory, preying on people's sickness. And, of course, they're the highwaymen. I like to call them highwaymen because it's your money or your life. And that's the system we're stuck with. Okay. Let's move on. We've got other vaccine stuff, so. Oh.
There's insanity in the control room.
Okay. Deductible even sounds made up. I wish it was. I wish it was made up. All right. Two Idaho Republicans have introduced a bill that would criminalize mRNA vaccines. I'm not kidding. I wish I was. If passed as written, the bill would also ban the use of other RNA vaccines that are now in development, such as shots for RSV, a variety of cancers, HIV, flu, cystic fibrosis, and many other potential treatments that could come from this technology. So now it was introduced by state senators Tammy Nichols and Representative Judy Boyle. Now the bill, HB 154, proposes that a person may not provide or administer a vaccine developed using messenger ribonucleic acid technology for use in an individual or any other mammal in this state. Oh, how nice. They're including other mammals as well. Not just human beings. Wow. But interesting. Now, if passed, anyone administering mRNA-based vaccines would be guilty of a misdemeanor and could result in jail time and or a fine, to which I say these people, stupid. They're dumb. I can guarantee they do not know how the technology works. They just think vaccine bad. Now, Nichols told her fellow lawmakers that no, it's just because we don't trust it yet. It's too new. We have issues that it was fast tracked. Oh, really? Do you know that it was fast-tracked by the former president of the United States, Donald Trump? I don't know if that would make a difference, honestly, because, look, one of the things that Trump has been doing is coming out and saying, oh, yeah, it was good that I did the vaccine. It was very tremendous. It's still your choice if you want to take it, but vaccine saved many, many lives. And by the way, he's right. It did save millions of people's lives. Potentially up to 3 million people were saved thanks to the effectiveness of the COVID-19 vaccines. But MAGA-Chud's still boo him. Whenever he brings up the fact that, like, hey, we did the vaccines and they were very successful, he gets booed by MAGA-Chuds. So, again, it's not a surprise here. Nonetheless, saying that the issue is, oh, no, we have a problem with the fact that they were fast-tracked. Yes, that's a real problem. Really? Really? For one, the FDA had actually granted full approval of vaccines. Pfizer's got theirs in August of 2021. Moderna's got theirs in January of 2022. Now, when a fellow lawmaker pointed that out, what do you think happened? Well, she still rejected it, saying that, well, you know, the FDA's approval may not have been done like we thought it should have been done. I'm sorry. What does that mean? What does that mean? Those were certainly words. Okay. What process do these people want? I don't know. I don't think it's about that. I think it's just trying to be an anti-vaxxer, and of course, trying to appeal to the MAGA-Chud base filled with anti-vaxxers. I think that's what it is. So now look, getting to the numbers of how this is stupid and insane and counterfactual and actually is more likely to get people, her constituents, killed. More than 269 million people in the U.S. have already received at least one dose of the COVID vaccine. The evidence is in, it's overwhelmingly safe and effective. Now, of course, there are people that will have adverse reactions to it, as is with any medication, yes. But overall, the vast majority of people, it is safe and effective at preventing the worst symptoms of COVID. In fact, a study released late last year found that COVID-19 vaccines averted more than 18 million additional hospitalizations, and as I mentioned before, 3 million potential deaths. So, and while there have, of course, have been rare reports of adverse effects that are endlessly hyped up by right-wing media, for example, and some, by the way, allegedly left-wing leaning media, they tend to focus on blood clots and inflammation of the heart, muscle, and lining, the myocarditis and pericarditis. These problems, of course, are incredibly rare. And in the case of myocarditis and pericarditis, they tended to be rather mild. So those are the facts on that. But when it comes to Idaho Republicans, at least these two, the facts don't matter. They're going to go with anti-vax nonsense and talking points because they don't, for number one, they don't care about their own constituents. All they care about, really, is trying to hold on to power and to appeal to that anti-vax base. And I guess maybe, who knows, maybe they do actually believe this nonsense, which wouldn't be surprising. After all, they are part of the Republican Party in Idaho. Okay. Moving on. Let's switch gears. Go to Florida. A full-time substitute teacher was fired after Florida Governor Ron DeSantis complained about a video that was of empty bookshelves. So this teacher had posted this video to social media. Here it is. You can see, of course, empty bookshelves everywhere. This is Florida, everybody. Now, the teacher, named Brian Covey, is the one who posted this to social media on Twitter. Look, he ended up being fired 3 weeks later. Now, in an interview with Popular Information, Judd Legum does great reporting, by the way, Covey said that administrators at Mandarin Middle School in Duval County were actually aware that he had posted this video and was fine with it. Like, oh yeah, no, this is a reality. This is what's going on. Now, Covey had worked as a full-time substitute teacher at the district since early October of 2022 and never had any issues. In fact, he had been praised for, handling a classroom full of unruly math students. I couldn't imagine, right? Never had any issues, of course, until he embarrassed the governor of Florida. On February 14th, a reporter asked DeSantis about images posted to social media and the aforementioned video of bookshelves that were empty in Duval County. DeSantis has responded in a press conference that the video was a fake narrative. Fake news, not true. Oh, we have plenty of books. The bookshelves aren't empty. Of course not. This is just mainstream media fake news propaganda. Except that it wasn't. Because, look, you saw the evidence yourself, and you know what's going on in Florida. You know the laws that DeSantis has put into place that have targeted teachers. And so I'll get to the details of how devastating this has been on just access to books later on. But first, Covey tells Popular Information that on February 15th, he was fired in a 45-second phone call. In the brief call from the staffing agency that placed him in the position, Educated Staffing Solutions, Covey was told that he had violated the school's social media and cell phone policies and was the subject of several complaints. You were the subject of several complaints. Yes, because it was Ron DeSantis that was complaining. Now, a spokesperson for Duval County Public Schools, DCPS, Tracy Pierce, told Popular Information that Covey was terminated for misrepresentation of the books available to students in the school's library and the disruption this misrepresentation has caused. That conduct, they said, violated social media and cell phone policies of Covey's employer. BS. Not buying that ridiculous bullshit excuse, okay? Look, Ron DeSantis saw the video, saw the backlash, and he got feels. And so what Ron DeSantis is doing, what Ron DeSantis has done, because he's done this to Rebecca Jones as well. This is a person that, by the way, was putting out information, accurate information about COVID deaths and illnesses in Florida until she got fired. He decided, no, we're going to get rid of this guy because he's embarrassing me. He's actually showing the truth about what's going on here. We can't have that because that gets me backlash. And I'm trying to run, or maybe I might run for president. So look, they removed these books. The reason that they're the empty bookshelves is because Republicans had passed these laws signed by Ron DeSantis, who had championed in these laws, in order to remove any books that they deemed to be offensive. And in their words, of course, offensive is anything that mentions race, anything that mentions LGBTQIA plus couples or lifestyles, anything that is not, what is that? Politically correct. That's what this is. This is political correctness from the people who complain about political correctness. Ironic. Now, look, one of the laws passed by DeSantis and Republicans requires all library books to be reviewed by a certified media specialist. So now, as a result of having these reviews be done, well, there's not enough reviewers, for one. And so what you have is 1.5 million books currently inaccessible to students. They haven't been reviewed yet. It's amazing. One of the issues here is that, again, most middle schools and high schools, including Mandarin Middle School, where this happened, where Kobe was fired from, did not have a certified media specialist on staff. And by the way, you could just say, well, why don't they hire more certified media specialists? Who wants to do that? They have to comb through all these different books looking for things that they think might upset right-wingers. Now, if they make a wrong decision, they remove a potentially good book from circulation, not allowing anybody to be able to read it, at least when it comes to schools. But, you know, if they mess up and there's a book that offends right-wingers, well, then they could get fired or even put in jail thanks to these laws. This is absolute insanity. And as a result, according to a fact sheet released by DCPS on February 17th, just 6,000 books have been approved for student use. 6,000 out of 1.5 million. 99.725% of the books in the DCPS system remain inaccessible. And who knows for how long? And of course, who knows if they're going to change their minds in Florida to what is an acceptable or what is not an acceptable book. So look, that's the reality of the situation going on in Florida. And of course, Ron DeSantis is going to deny it. He's going to blame the media. He's going to pull out all the ridiculous tricks that a lot of right-wingers do. But this is the reality of the situation. This is what you've created. Empty bookshelves. And in order to try to hide what you're doing, you're just going to fire people for exposing the truth. Now, Kobe said this to Popular Information, quote, "I didn't want to be the face and have the governor calling me out and losing my job over this. But it was more important to me to stand up to my principles and show my kids that when you see something that's not right, you should document it and say something." To that I say 100%. I think Kobe is a good, a real American standing up against censorship. He's a patriot. And what does that make Ron DeSantis? Makes him a fascist. Okay. One last story for you all. A Texas school superintendent has resigned after the backlash of leaving a gun in a bathroom stall that was loaded and having it found by a third grader. So, look, this guy, Superintendent Robbie Stuteville, had left his loaded gun in a bathroom stall at Rising Star Elementary School back in January. A third grader found it, and all hell broke loose, essentially. So he says that when he was using the restroom, he took his gun off and placed it in a stall where it was left unattended for around 15 minutes. It was found by a student who had notified a teacher, who then, by the way, the teacher then sent a second grader into the bathroom to confirm that it was a real gun. Wait, why would you send a second grader? Now, look, thankfully, nobody was hurt. But in this situation, it wouldn't be surprising had someone gotten hurt. There are situations where you've had, and numerous stories where you've had somebody leave their gun, a young person finds it, plays with it, because that's what kids do, and then it goes off. It either injures someone or kills someone. We are lucky that this did not happen in this situation. And by the way, Stuteville comes in and says, well, you know, that's why guns in schools are good. Wait, what? Now, he said there was never any danger other than the obvious. What does that mean? There was a danger then. I mean, there's no danger other than the obvious. I mean, look, you know, standing on the train tracks, I mean, you know, there's an obvious danger there because there's a train barreling at me, but there's no other danger than that. So everything's fine. What does that mean? What does that mean? Now, later on, he also claimed that he was proud of the student and said this, quote, "This is one of those examples of guns in schools. Regardless of who takes responsibility, they're a considerable danger, and one should school their child to be on the lookout for any unusual placement of a weapon or anything out of place." You put it there. You had it. By the way, there's open carry by the superintendent and the principal at this very elementary school. They're just walking around with guns and then apparently accidentally leaving them in the bathroom for any of the kids to find. And it's funny because, you know, we said that this was going to happen. Hey, if you allow open carry in school, or God forbid, you know, some of these schools have decided to take the right wing, you know, idea and apply it to say, well, why don't we just have all the teachers carry the guns? It's fine. Nothing bad will ever happen. Oops, accidentally, you know, left my gun in the bathroom after taking a crap. Well, oops. And then little Tommy came in and shot himself. What are you going to do? You know, this is why it's important to have guns in schools. This is why it's important for the parents to teach the kids to report the gun. How about not have the guns in the schools in the first place? Look, there's numerous studies out there showing that it's not effective at deterring mass shooters. And look, that's the reason that right-wingers are saying, oh, let's put more guns in school. Let's arm everybody. Let's arm the teachers. Let's arm they're almost one step away from arming the students. And by the way, in one state, I believe it was Missouri, they actually do want to arm young people, kids, have them be able to open carry guns everywhere. It's insanity. That's what's happening. Total insanity in these schools where now you just have guns being left everywhere. Look, you could say, oh, this is just you're responsible gun owner of the day, but this happens far too often. And again, in this situation, thankfully, something bad did not happen. But it's not a stretch to imagine that something bad could happen, because it does happen far too often. No, get the guns out of the schools. Get the guns out of the schools. Now, in this case, of course, there was a lot of backlash. Parents were rightly infuriated that he had left his gun around. And so district staff had confirmed that Stuteville had submitted his resignation from Rising Star ISD effective yesterday. So that's Monday, February 20th. So he's out, but I'm wondering if they're going to maybe try to change that policy, because it's not just about the individual in these cases. You can be careful 99.99% of the time with your guns, but there's always that 0.1% where you're going to accidentally leave it somewhere, or it'll fall out of your holster and end up going off. That's a situation that we would like to avoid. And you can only avoid that by keeping the guns out of the schools. Okay. Ridiculous. All of it. All right. That's the show. That's the show. All right. So let's read some super chats here. LL says MTG is the last person anyone should take divorce advice from. Well, she would be an expert, though, as she is currently going through one. All right, so Jason Ray says, General Sherman should have really finished the job. Mist Man says, and is a member for 1 month, says, saying vaccine bad makes you into Florida Surgeon General. Meanwhile, moving books is requested, gets you fired. Florida. Florida. That teacher should resign too, says Donna Schaefer on Facebook. You don't send another child to verify that. Yes, I know, that's insane. Why would you do that? All right. So, nothing here on Twitch. But thank you to the mods. Thanks you for joining us on Twitch. We will be rating into... we'll do a surfs rate. As far as everybody else, thank you again. Please like and share the stream. Very important that you do so. Always helps us out. With that said, thank you all. Love you. And remember, change begins with you. Good night, nation. We'll see you back here tomorrow.
Peachtree dish.
Disappointed!
Jewish space lasers.
My.
You're kicking me out the door. You're kicking me out the door.
USA, USA, USA.